Dragon, dragon, rock the dragon, Dragon Ball magic. Dragon, dragon, rock the dragon, Dragon Ball magic. Oh, hey, didn't see you guys there. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to my stream, in which I'm going to be talking about the new potential, supposed, or perhaps confirmed anime, which is Dragon Ball Magic, and discussing everything in depth as to what I have heard thus far, taking a look at what has been reported thus far, and giving my own analysis of it. Definitely a lot of information out here ready to go, and I'm willing and ready and happy to talk to each of you guys as it shows up, as it continues on, and whatever else I'm trying to say right now to basically give you guys the idea of what I'm doing here. So make sure to drop a like on the stream right now, guys. We got everyone showing up early to the stream, so make sure to drop a like. I want to make sure this stream gets as many people as possible able to see it. That way we could talk about this in depth, have a conversation about Dragon Ball Magic, about everything that has been reported on thus far by a variety of different channels and other people in the fandom. And not just that, but does this actually look good? Also, make sure everybody to turn your audio up, because my microphone, I'm actually at top volume, but for you, you might as well be hearing me whisper like Bob Ross. It's a Dragon Ball Magic time. So make sure to drop a like, everybody. That way, more people will see this and we'll be able to go even further beyond with this stream. But let's show the chat rather right now on the stream. I'll say hi to you guys as I'm letting everyone file in, and then I'm going to start talking about everything in depth. So let me pop that up right now and pop it up for you. Pump it up. Oh, well, it'd probably be helpful too if I actually showed myself on camera. Oh God, your eyes are burnt now, aren't they? From having to look at me. But yeah, 1 second, guys. I gotta pop this up on here so I could talk to every single one of you. Wait for it. Here we go. Why is this so big? Pause. But anyway, let's pop this up. Hey guys, I see you all in here commenting, so let's say hi to everybody. So, first off, we have Biggie Cheese Jr. Thanks for showing up. Fool's Gill, Super Saiyan 2 Raw Power, Phantom 89. Let's see, Scutlist. Tom Collier Blog Nation. Are you related to Dragon Ball Nation? Josh? That's a really inside joke right there. Oh, no, maybe Big Cheese is related because you're asking me about Red Dead Redemption, and Josh never stops talking to me about Red Dead Redemption, even though I, in particular, have never played it, but he has. You need to start speaking in a more masculine manner. I'll talk however I want, but you can enjoy this. Actually, no, I'm not going to be like that. But yeah, either way, yeah. See, what I am is what you get at the end of the day. The way I speak, the way I interact with you. And yeah, that's who I am. I don't like to be inauthentic. And so if you don't like the way I speak, then you're more than happy to mute my videos and watch them anyway. Give me 100% full retention, too. Hey, Xavier de God, welcome to my stream. So I'm going to give it a few minutes, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to go in depth to quote Geekdom 101. I'm going to go in depth into everything with regard to what he and a number of other people have actually reported on. And with regard to all this, I've definitely known, perhaps, certain things in the past, or at least I may have been told a few whispers here and there about this new series, in fact. And, speaking of that, let me show you guys something right now, because I have something that's actually kind of related to this new series right on my channel right now, in fact. So if you go to my channel, Laughingstock Media, you will see, as I share my screen, that, I recently did a video which is how strong is Supreme Kai in Dragon Ball Z and just in general, which you can see right here. Highly recommend you guys check that out, as well as my new video I just uploaded. It doesn't seem like a lot of you have seen it quite just yet, but it's a video I went in depth into a theory about whether or not Broly actually remembered Goku as a baby, and that's why everything set him off. So I analyzed somebody's theory, gave my own thoughts. But yeah, check out how strong is Supreme Kai. Kind of interesting the timing on that video, don't you guys think? In terms of me releasing a video about Supreme Kai and how strong he is, and then suddenly, stop ruining my zooms. Suddenly, there's a new series coming out that includes Supreme Kai. Almost like I knew. Almost. Let's see. No, I haven't played Red Dead yet, and I definitely will at some point in the future. So looks like 10-year-olds, looks like a show for 10-year-olds is hoping for more teenage or young adult show. It doesn't look like anything because you haven't seen any actual releases yet. We don't know what it looks like yet. We know it's made by Nakatsuru, who, well, I'll get into that. I don't want to spoil too much. But for everyone showing up right now, guys, thank you all for joining. We got over 80 people right now. Make sure to leave a like down there. 81 people watching, 37 likes. Let's get those likes up to 50. And then when we hit 50, I'll start to talk a little bit more about what's actually going on. Additionally, make sure, to send in your questions throughout the course of this stream, and I will do my best to get to all of them as it goes along. But let's get those likes up, guys. And when we do, I will then start getting into the new information, the revelations about Dragon Ball Magic, which is probably not how they're going to pronounce it. But now that's a prediction right there. Are they going to pronounce it like that? That's something that, people will totally click on videos about. How are they going to pronounce the name Dragon Ball Magic Part 14? It sounds like something that tends to be the case right here. So yeah, with that being said, we're almost there, guys. We're almost to a point where we've gone even further beyond in terms of the likes. Can't everybody just be happy we're getting more Dragon Ball? I mean, that's the thing, we're gonna have to wait. Dragon Ball Magic, will it start with Moro arc maybe? No, but I will be going into that. And see you later. If you're leaving the chat, you're more than welcome to leave because I don't care. But no, I'm just kidding. But with that being said, guys, we are right about to hit 50 likes. So when we do that, I'm going to go into everything. We have almost 100 people watching right now. Awesome. And we're going to probably pick up even more Steam as we go along. But we're not going to be playing any Steam games. But with that being said, guys, so let me get into what this is about. And actually, let me see, maybe I should record a video too, talking about this a little bit while I'm in the midst of doing this. So let me actually do that right now. Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on Dragon Ball Magic, or what is being talked about, the potential new series for the Dragon Ball franchise, which itself is going to be a web anime. And basically, everything that's been reported thus far, and not just that, but additionally, everything that we are going to be not only hearing, but also my speculation about what exactly is going to unfold, and, some of what we've heard thus far, good, bad, or something in between. But with that being said, guys, if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and enabling all notifications. That way, you could stay up to date with all my future videos. Additionally, make sure to leave a like, share your thoughts down below in the comments, and everybody here share in the live chat. And with that being said, let's get... Oh, wait. I gotta remind people of some other things. Also, for anyone who watches the full video, you guys are awesome. It definitely helps the channel along with all of your support to go even further beyond. And with that being said, let's get into the video. The magical video. Okay. So, let's get into all that right now. And you're saying it's desaturated. I think it really comes down a lot to... maybe the camera. Either way, let me get into the actual sharing of the screen, and then we'll talk about the unseen. Oh wait, that was what I talked about in another video. You guys could check that on my channel where I did a reaction to Geekdom 101's Dragon Ball Unseen. Okay. So, Dragon Ball Magic. Now, what do we have right here? I put down a bunch of bullet points here of things I'm going to be covering with regard to this. First off, Dragon Ball Magic is a web anime, or at least that's what we're being told thus far. I'm going to be actually examining each of these different statements that we've heard thus far. The thing is, with regard to me, something you guys got to keep in mind is, for me, I will believe something when I really see it, especially when it comes to Dragon Ball at this point. Even though friends of mine have reported on Dragon Ball Magic thus far, even though with regard to the franchise, you know, I've heard from reliable sources that this is a thing that's actually going to be happening. The fact of the matter is that with Dragon Ball, I've heard so many reports about this happening, or this Dragon Ball Super coming back, Dragon Ball Super 2, Dragon Ball Tooper, Electric Boogaloo, you know, Electric Super Saiyanaloo or something. I've heard all that for so long, so keep that in mind, and, you know, the typical grain of salt covering our ass sort of thing that people like to say. Either way, thus far we know that Dragon Ball Magic is said to be a web anime that isn't going to necessarily be on like Fuji TV or another type of station like we saw with Dragon Ball Super. Let me do this real quick too. Can everyone see and hear what I'm doing? All right, perfect. All right, cool. So I'm going to edit all these parts out. Don't worry about it, guys. You guys wouldn't even notice, would you? No, I'm sure you probably do. You're probably like, oh, so many jump cuts, Mike. -2 out of 10 video. Would not watch, even though you already technically are. So let's talk about the plot of this series, Dragon Ball Magic, as it's been recorded as of late. What am I, from another country? Dragon Ball Magic? No, that's Southern America. Well, let's talk about Dragon Ball Magic and what the plot has been reported as of late. So when it comes to the plot, what's going to happen? Well, let's get into that. So in Dragon Ball Magic, no, not Dragon Ball The Magic Begins, which many of you might have seen, an old knockoff version of the Dragon Ball story, which is the very first thing I thought of when I heard this title. And you probably can find that even on YouTube. Maybe you guys should check it out just for the weirdness factor. You can argue maybe this is a better live action adaptation than even Dragon Ball Evolution. We know how amazing that was. Ugh. But yes, so in Dragon Ball Magic, from what's being reported, it seems that Goku is actually going to do something that we saw in Dragon Ball GT, which is once again be transformed into a kid. However, in this case, it doesn't seem like Goku's the only one who's going to do that, because there's another character who's going to serve as one of the main characters of the story alongside our main character of Goku, which is actually, oh my god, his face is so creepy! Kaioshin Shin, the god of creation and the supreme Kai from Universe 7. And hopefully he's not going to be smiling super smugly like this all throughout Dragon Ball Magic, because he's going to also be apparently turned into a child alongside Son Goku, and as a result, the two of them are going to be the victims of an evil being who may very well be a wizard or even a demon, much like Dabura, one of my favorite side villains, mini bosses, and one of the most underrated characters in the franchise because of just how little he did, wasted potential, and you could see some of that in the video in the top right corner. So on the topic of that, it seems like this villain either shows up on Earth or somewhere else. You know, we see that witches have a habit of getting into the Supreme Kai realm, so it's very possible that's exactly where Goku and Shin are, you know, and vice versa, order from what I just showed you, than being on Earth. Or, you know, maybe they're all at a party at Bulma's, because that tends to be the case. Or, you know, maybe they're all at a party with Bulma, because that tends to be where basically every single story in modern Dragon Ball begins now. And so Goku and Kaioshin seem like they're going to be going on a mystical adventure of sorts to other planets and maybe even other realities like the demon realm, for example, in order to try and undo the evil magic which has been placed upon them by the evil villain, who himself, the thing is, might not just be a demon. In fact, he might be something that we as Dragon Ball fans have been wanting to see forever, which is a Makaioshin, an evil sort of Supreme Kai, not like Zamasu, who just, basically pulled a Sensui and Sauron and Anakin combined, but instead being a evil variation of the Makaioshin, who are almost kind of like the gods of the demon realm, which would explain why they're so powerful comparative to the highest god in creation of Universe 7, and also the main character of Goku, who, depending upon when this takes place, can wipe out universes. But with that being said, let's get into some of the other details, because Goku and Shin are not the only two characters who are going to be making up the main cast here, because there are some other characters who are going to be introduced. Let me pull out my handy dandy phone and all the notes I've written down over time. So in terms of these two new characters, that are going to be joining the cast, there are two brand new characters who are a male character and a female character. One of them is going to be holding and utilizing a sword, almost like future Trunks or Tapion, or, one of the characters from, let's say, Dragon Quest, Dragon Quest Dai, something along those lines. Additionally, the girl, possibly, or the guy, will also have a gun. So you see a variation of different types of weaponry that are going to be used. Now, considering the fact that they're using weaponry such as a gun, it makes you question whether or not some of the characters will be depowered, like Goku, for instance. One of the biggest problems that we saw in Dragon Ball GT was that even though Goku was turned into a kid, he actually didn't get any weaker. The only thing that he struggled to do was to be able to use Super Saiyan 3 for an extended period of time, but even then he wasn't weaker. His base form could still solo the Buu Saga, because this was Goku after 5 years of training with Oob in the future, in Dragon Ball GT's timeline, of course, after the end of Z, which, hopefully the series will actually go beyond, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. So with these two new characters, it'll be interesting to see Dragon Ball finally focusing on some new blood, although with Goku being the main character of yet another series, that doesn't really seem like it's probably... But with Goku being the main character of yet another series, it seems like there is a chance it could devolve into Goku time again. So, I guess we'll have to try and find a way to make a pun out of Dragon Ball M. Dragon Ball much too much Goku? I don't know, something like that. Now, in terms of two questions that directly correlate with one another and interlink is, what's the involvement from Akira Toriyama, the creator of the Dragon Ball franchise, and is Dragon Ball magic canon? Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat real quick. Okay. I got over 100 people watching. Awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to keep going with this. But, if you guys have any questions or anything to send in to me while I'm on here, send them in, any super chats, and I'll make sure to get to them as soon as possible. But with that being said, let's get into the next section. So in terms of the involvement from Akira Toriyama, as far as I've heard and has been reported on, this is going to be the most involvement from Toriyama in really any modern project in terms of him having a direct role in everything. Because when it comes to Toriyama's involvement in Dragon Ball, especially in the Super era, it has been very minimal at most. So many people think that Toriyama is like directly working with Toyotaro when it comes to everything in the manga, and that, he's fleshing everything out, and, with the anime that he was doing the same thing. That's not really the case though. Like, sure, Toriyama definitely has some input, and, he's done some corrections and stuff like that in the anime and manga. But overall, when you actually look at and investigate everything, the truth of the matter is that Toriyama's involvement has been very much limited. He sends in notes and emails and things like that, and he did a little screenplay, as he called it, for Resurrection F, which, involved tons of fights basically just being written as they fight, which, to be fair, isn't really as uncommon as you would think in movies. They usually leave that up to like the choreographers and stuff like that. But Toriyama is incredibly involved in this story. So when it comes to the idea of is Dragon Ball magic canon, well, that comes down to your idea of Dragon Ball's canonicity. Actually, I talked about a video you could see in the top right corner exactly what is canon in Dragon Ball in my video, Why Dragon Ball Super Isn't Canon. And you guys can check that out because I broke down the entire hierarchy of canonicity. In terms of whatever this is, you could say that just because Toriyama's working on it and he's heavily involved in it, even more so than Dragon Ball Super, then that definitely means it is canon because the creator is involved in it. Additionally, you could argue that maybe it's more canon than Dragon Ball Super because Toriyama is even more involved in it. However, on the same spectrum, let's say, on the same end of it, you can argue that it is in fact not true canon to Dragon Ball, and rather, because the prime canon, the initial canon, is what Toriyama wrote and drew every single week in the Dragon Ball manga. So overall, with regard to that, you could definitely make the argument that it's a lower level of canonicity. And, depending upon what interconnects and interlinks into it, that's going to be a major component. And let's tie into that time placement. I actually skipped over that because, dyslexia is a bitch. But so let's get into time placement here, because the fact of the matter is that this is a major component in exactly what is being reported on and whether or not the series can really be truly filled with tension and stakes. Because one of the biggest problems with Dragon Ball Super, as well as its canonicity, which I talked about in that video, is the fact that Dragon Ball Super has been stuck in that 10-year time skip, where it began with Goku flying off with Oob at the start, or the end rather, of the Dragon Ball manga, at the end of the Dragon Ball Z anime, and everything. Actually, you know what? Let's strike and reverse this. Okay. This is live, guys, so you guys get the impression. This is the work that goes in my videos sometimes when I do them, especially off the top of my head like this. But at least I got some things I'm looking at right here on the screen. You ever see me looking around when I'm doing my videos? It's mostly because I'm trying to, kind of go along with what my train of thought is at that time. But I'm trying to remember where I even was. Let's just start over this whole section. So the time placement is going to be a major component in exactly establishing things such as stakes, tension, and you can even argue canonicity. And one of the biggest things going against Dragon Ball Super up until this point is that Dragon Ball Super takes place during a 10-year time skip. The time skip beginning with Goku's defeat of Kid Buu, and then, the 6 months afterward when they wish away the memory of Fat Buu, and then Oob and Goku meeting and flying off into the distance at the end of Z, the end of the Dragon Ball manga and Dragon Ball Z anime, which leads into, in the original anime continuity, Dragon Ball GT, or at least its own continuity, and then you could maybe argue Dragon Ball Magic, because we don't really know for a fact yet, based upon the reports, when this is going to take place. Does it take place during that 10-year time skip, which inevitably means that Goku's just going to go back to being an adult again, the same way he did before, or at least, which means that Goku's going to go back to being an adult again, probably because they defeat the villain, and nobody dies, Supreme Kai is still probably going to be there, and so on and so forth at the end of the 10-year time skip, because we know what everyone is going to do. Oob's going to show up, and so on and so forth. Or perhaps, does this take place after the end of Z? I heard some speculation from people that it takes place even before Battle of Gods, before Goku becomes a god and learns about that, but obviously that would be impossible because the fact that we see in the Universe 6 tournament, Supreme Kai he's no longer Kabuto Kai or Kabuto Shin, and rather wished away that combination, that fusion with Batara using the Namekian Dragon Balls, which is a whole can of worms in and of itself, and kind of seems like another thing that Toriyama, or at least Toei, did to undermine GT, kind of like the idea of the Pilaf gang being turned into babies when we know they're old in GT. But, the thing is, so many people expect GT to be completely obliterated from canon, but considering just how the continuity has been with Dragon Ball up until this point, I I wouldn't be surprised in the least if they still find a way to try and jam all of them into the same timeline and just like ignore how nonsensical it is at this point. Kind of like everything with Oob at the end of the story, where he's like 0.0000001% of Jiren's power at 1% probably, and yet we're still supposed to think he's impressive because of this vague idea of potential and God keys. So with regard to all of that, you can make the argument that maybe it will happen after the end of Z, or at least, you know, extrapolate that from the reports we've gotten. And if that's the case, well, then that means that this is going to have a lot more stakes, a lot more tension. But you do have to wonder, what about every other main character in the story? Where are they going to be? So it could be canon adjacent in a sense, or maybe Toriyama is creating an entirely new continuity, almost kind of like a JoJo or something like that, where it's canon to its own continuity, its own timeline, its own spin-off of a sorts, but in the main timeline placement, it's almost like the movies where you could try and argue that like BoJack or Cooler or something like that happened, but ultimately it still doesn't fit in the story and was never a part of the true continuity. So in terms of the canonicity and the timeline placement, it's up for debate, or at least, you know, we're not going to know until they make the official announcement at the New York Comic-Con and break it down. But I really hope it isn't during the 10-year time skip, because I've been sick of that 10-year time skip since close to when Dragon Ball Super began. I gave it a little bit of a break at first, but now it's like, let's move forward, let's move on, and watch it be during the 5 to 10 year time skip between Goku flying away with Oob and Dragon Ball GT. And the whole time they're like, trust this, guys, GT isn't canon. And imagine, you know, it would be kind of funny if in the exact same timeline, the exact same story, Goku gets switched into a kid twice. But I have a feeling that's not quite what they're going to do. Now, in terms of the episode length, well, let me get into that in a minute, but I do see that I just got a super chat, so let me look that up. And, oh, Phantom89, thank you so much for your super chat. And thank you everyone who's showing up. 142 people watching. We got 71 likes. Can we get that up to 100 likes, guys? You know, let's be able to take this streaming further beyond to be seen by even more people. So, Phantom89, you said Mike versus Danny in a Dragon Ball based rap battle. Who wins? I mean, you know, I got bars. I can go really far. At the end of the day, that's what they say, because the truth of the matter is that nobody could stop me, top me, beat me, defeat me, because I'm climbing the ladder of success on YouTube, and nobody, and I said nobody, stands a chance when I give it my best. And you could let the argument rest. No, that was horrible. I apologize, people. I apologize for destroying your brains with my massive bars I'm throwing out there. But yeah, I guess you guys can let me know in the comments down below. You know, we all know the way I talk, it'd be like mumble rap. But thank you for the super chat, Phantom89, and let's get back into this story, or not the story. Well, it is the story, because that's what I've been told thus far, or has been reported on thus far. But, you know, we'll see if this is all confirmed, or if some of it's, you know, maybe a little bit out in the ether. But let's keep going. So let's talk about the episode length. So in terms of the episodes themselves, a lot of people might be concerned because of the fact that they're wondering, for example, if, let's say, these are going to be Dragon Ball Super length episodes, or perhaps are they going to be Dragon Ball Heroes length episodes? Well, actually, based upon everything I've heard, what I will say is that it seems like it's actually if you smash both of them together, because from what I've seen reported on thus far from multiple different sources who've reported this story, is that Dragon Ball Magic is actually going to have bare minimum 20-ish minutes episodes. I've even seen people saying like up to 45 minutes. Now that's a really interesting thing, because I can't recall, aside from specials, ever getting episodes of Dragon Ball that last that long, unless you count the 1 hour special, which is not the type of special I was referring to in the Tournament of Power, or For example, for English dub fans, when it switched over to Funimation from the Ocean dub, we had that like 45 plus minute episode where they combined two of them together during the Goku versus Ginyu fight. For any old school fans like me, let me know in the comments if you remember that when it first happened on Cartoon Network. But nonetheless, the fact of the matter is that I think that that's great if that's the case, that we actually get longer episodes, because that is going to be awesome in terms of being able to have time to flesh out the events. And it's not like you can exactly have filler in this type of story, right? Because it's all just brand new. This is the source material itself. So at the end of the day, if there's no filler, well, give me as long of an episode as you possibly can. Give me a 6-hour episode, and then hopefully not about 4 of those being commercials. But yeah, in terms of that, how many numbers of episodes are we going to get? Are we going to get multiple cores? Are we going to get an ongoing series? Well, again, the reports are saying right now that it could be up to 15 episodes. So based upon the reports I've been seeing, or the different, rumors, let's say, the information that's been leaked, it suggests to me that it's going to be about a core, which, for anime fans, a core is like, about 12 episodes or more, 13, sometimes 14, sometimes even 15, which is basically like a quarter of a year that it takes up if it was being aired weekly. Additionally, oftentimes anime used to be about 26 episodes that they would release at a time, sometimes 24 or 28. So this seems to kind of line up with that. And that leads me to think that, maybe what they're doing is they're setting it up in a sense to where, if the first season does really well, we'll get even more. And that also lends the idea to future spin-offs too. I've been talking about this for years, and if I remember correctly, I did a video a while ago, I couldn't find it before doing this, where I talked about an idea that's actually really similar, where an evil wizard would show up on the Earth and wished everyone, or used their magic to turn everyone on the Earth into little kids, about 3 to 5 years old. However, the thing is that Piccolo would be essentially immune to it because of the fact that, well, when he fought Goku at the 23rd tournament, he was about 3 years old. So I think it's kind of interesting that they're almost going in that idea again. And it would be funny if Piccolo is involved and the wizard goes, "I'm going to turn you into a 4-year-old. And Piccolo looks almost exactly the same. He's like, "Oh, yeah, okay. Maseko, Makanko Sapo." And that's how the arc ends. Awesome. Piccolo finally beats the main villain, unless you count Raditz. Rest in peace, you were wasted potential. So what about other spin-offs too? If we're getting one about Goku, well, that leaves the question of what about the main storyline? What about Dragon Ball Super? Who knows if that's ever going to come back in anime format? I don't know why Toei never has brought it back since, it's been over for years now, and Dragon Ball is still one of the most popular franchises in the world, along with like One Piece, for example. So why aren't they doing Super? I guess because they wanted to kind of move in other directions. Maybe they realized some of the flaws of Dragon Ball Super and they're like, okay, well, let's do other things and see if we could do a better job with those. After all, they replaced the head of the Dragon Room recently, so it only makes sense that with his replacement comes a new shift in era. With Toriyama's involvement especially, we're kind of subverting that expectation a little bit, just not in a terrible Rian Johnson way. So what if we get spin-offs about Piccolo going to Namek and, learning more about his heritage, Gohan, investing in scholarly things, then he encounters new characters that have new abilities and things like that his ki doesn't work against, what about the gods? What about, other universes? Like, I did a video you guys see in the top right corner about the episode of Hit and how I thought it would be cool if they had a spin-off just about Hit. So with that being said, I'd love to see more spin-offs, even if they don't take place before the end of Z. What about a Ginyu Force one? That could be fun, despite the fact that we know that all of them die, but it could still be fun to see it happen. Take the thing in new directions, in new aspects, and we'll end up seeing exactly what this franchise is truly capable of, rather than kind of the same rinse and repeat that we've seen a million times in Dragon Ball Super and the modern Dragon Ball franchise, or many fan fictions that have been created where it tends to just be like What if Piccolo absorbed every Namekian? Or what if Goku achieved 27 new transformations or something like that? They're going in a new direction. But with that being said, getting back to the idea of Goku becoming a kid, I could see this being a massive polarizing idea, kind of like it was in Dragon Ball GT, of course. That's what I'm showing the picture of. And on the topic of that, Nakatsuru, who is the lead character designer on GT, is back for this show as well. So some people could say maybe it's a spiritual successor to GT, or maybe it's basically them trying to do GT again, just done right, done in a way to where it isn't basically seen as a failure by a lot of this franchise, by a lot of the fan base of it. And not just that, but additionally, I think it would be a really interesting idea if basically what happens is that they expand upon ideas we had seen in GT, but handle them better. But overall, I would prefer something more original. Take it in a new direction, guys. Go further. Go beyond Plus Ultra. Well, maybe not like that. People don't usually like when we involve Dragon Ball superheroes in the story, especially with Gohan and I guess now Goten and Trunks in the manga. Although Videl looked pretty cool in her outfit, I gotta admit. But I could see this still being a very polarizing aspect because people hated that. That was one of the big things that turned off fans even in Japan when Goku got regressed, because not only did it not actually weaken the character, but it felt like a regression in the story. At this point, it would be more interesting, I feel like, to see Goku become an old man, to see him become a master, kind of like Roshi, and have to have a bunch of students and to go in that direction. That to me seems way more interesting, compelling than him becoming a kid again and going on an adventure with Supreme Kai of all characters, But with that being said, we'll have to just see what the execution is. And that's really what it came down to with GT. There were a lot of great ideas in GT, like the Shadow Dragons, like Baby, villains coming back from hell. But so much of it was just poorly executed. Exploring the universe and fighting new villains. And Goku, should have been depowered, and, seeing Oob and all these other characters, but they didn't do a good job with it. Maybe Dragon Ball Magic will actually do the correct job and we'll get that V for victory for real, because people are going to love it. I could see a lot of the casual fans who just want explosions and screaming and, giant rippling muscles. Well, I could definitely see Harold being disappointed with all these things. But the fact of the matter is, we have to wait and see not only if this is actually going to be what really happens with a new web anime with brand new concepts and, reuse concepts like this, but how they handle it. And that's what I'm waiting to see. In terms of all the reporting right now, like I said, I see things and I will believe it when I see it. In terms of all this stuff right here, in terms of the reporting, the leaks and everything like that, I'm approaching this the same way I always do with all the leaks and stuff. I will believe it when I see it. But with that being said, if this does happen, I just hope they handle it well, and I hope that they learn from the mistakes that they made in the modern iterations of Dragon Ball, like Super in the movies, and they improve everything and make sure that this is actually going to live up to the true standards of the Dragon Ball franchise that we experienced in the 80s and 90s. How long is this recording? Let's see. 28 minutes so far. Wow. Well, I gotta love that watch time. I think I changed my camera angle too or something. A little bit better lighting. Still a little washed out. Doesn't help that I'm pale as a ghost, right? But all right, guys, what do you think about Dragon Ball Magic and all the information that... Of course, somebody's texting me during my outro. All right, guys, so what do you think about the new... Okay. Ugh. All right, guys, so what do you think about all the reports involving Dragon Ball Magic? Do you think this is something that's truly going to happen? I guess we're going to find out very soon now, aren't we? But if this all in fact does happen, what do you think about it? Is it something that you're looking forward to, that you're excited for? Or perhaps is it something that we're going to have to find out a little bit more of when it... Or perhaps it's something that you're wishing would get snapped away in an instant. Reduced to atoms. Let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Also, if you're new here, consider subscribing, enabling all notifications. That way you can stay up to date with all my future videos. Make sure to leave a like, share this video out, share your own thoughts, which I already told you to do before, so doubly do them. Thanks for everyone for watching this full video up until right now, and make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future. Yes, Dragon Ball Magic. Okay. So that was the video. Let's get back to you guys in the chat. Let's see what you're all talking about right now. That's my video version of the stream. Of course, I'm still going to be talking, still going to be going. Hey, we almost got 100 likes up in here, 99 right now. Let's break that number. Let's go even further beyond and take it to the next level. Awesome. You did it. And I'm really appreciative, guys, because you got so many of you guys watching here today. One of the best streams I've done in a while. And, you know, it's because of this, because, you know, everyone here is such big fans of this franchise, or at least has a morbid curiosity as to what's going to be happening very soon. So with all that being said, let me pop open that chat. Thank you all for showing up thus far. We're going to get even further beyond and even further in depth into this, because I want to hear your reactions to everything. So let's open that chat right up here in the window. Very great grammar, I know. You think an author would know how to speak English a little bit better, but that's the way it is. That's the way the cookie crumbles. Also, I think they resized this. So let me switch over to this format instead. Let me capture that window one more time. All right, here we go. Way easier to see your chats. What's going on? Here we go. Awesome. Let's do this. Okay, so you guys are saying, glad it's more Dragon Ball. I still think that Goku will regrow his tail because GT elements are included. I assume that if Goku is reverted back to when he was a kid, that he'll have his tail again, which opens up the door for Ozaru. So I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, if that actually happens. Man, I remember 1999 watching Goku go Super Saiyan when I was 13, and he was the pinnacle of my 8th grade. Yeah, that was an awesome moment for sure. I want Goat Cyborg Man, please. Oh, you mean Moro? I mean, if they ever adapt the Dragon Ball Super manga into the anime, I assume that's what they're going to be doing in the future whenever Super finally comes back. You know, otherwise, why did they delay it for so long? I mean, that was one of the major things that people had a problem with, which is that, you know, Dragon Ball Super and the anime and manga were two completely different continuities, even the movies. So, you know, that leaves open the whole thing, which is like, why was that the case? You know, and so now if they just adapt the manga, even though I don't really like a lot of the manga that Toyotaro has done since the anime, especially with the ending of the Moro arc and stuff like that, you know, it'll be more narratively consistent. I mean, I think it'd be better if they improve upon what Toyotaro did, or just, you know, don't adapt it at all. But with that being said, I know I like to make jokes like that because sometimes, you know, some people get really salty, and it can be a little bit funny. All right, so Golden Great Ape, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Who the villain's gonna be? Like I said before, it's very possible that it could be a character like Deborah. You know, a villain who is from the demon realm, who has kind of like demon magic, and then in turn, you know, causes our characters to be reverted. I mean, it would make sense because the fact of the matter is that, you know, we need some kind of power that overrides the incredible power of Goku and even the Supreme Kai compared to most beings in the universe. So if you have like a demon god, kind of like a demon Supreme Kai, you know, sure. I mean, it doesn't have to be just straight up, this guy has this high of a strength and other types of levels and things like that. So, I mean, sure, people are more than welcome to like granola and a lot of those other aspects, you know, granola, Moro, stuff like that. But with that being said, I'm not really, you know, like, I like what I like, you like what you like. At the end of the day, I think that's kind of the best way to go about it, right? You know, there's a lot of movies I don't like that people love, and vice versa. So there's a lot of movies in Dragon Ball that people love, that they go crazy for whenever they see them. But for me, I'm not really super sold on, to be honest. So, you know, that's kind of how it is. And there's some things I love that people don't. There's certain episodes of Dragon Ball I love, and I've seen people trash them. So, hey, taste subjective. If you like them, that's good. I'm glad that there's some people that enjoy these things. Some people who could take respite from the things in life that are difficult and, enjoy a manga or an anime or something like that. So cool. All right. Xavier DeGod. Wow. Thank you so much for the super chat. You asked a question, I believe, which is DBS, if DBS was written by Danny, Quinn, Mike, Juan, Josh, and the rest of your friends, how would it have turned out? I mean, it would be tough to have that many people writing it at the same time. It's kind of like when you have a movie and you have like 5 writers, it ends up being a terrible mess because there's so many conflicting ideas and tones and things like that. But with that being said, let me actually give you the full screen treatment for this. Okay, what was I going to say? So Xavier DeGod asked me if I and my friend group on YouTube all were to have written Dragon Ball Super, what would it have been like? Well, overall for me, if I wrote Dragon Ball Super, it would have taken place after the end of Z. The main characters would not be Goku and Vegeta. They would be involved in the story perhaps, but it'd focus more on the next generation, like Oob, Goten, Trunks, Pan, and new characters that we would develop and introduce, like, they did back in Dragon Ball Z. Most of the most interesting, compelling characters were introduced along Dragon Ball Z and along the way, rather than just, having the same characters kind of rinsed or repeated, or having one character introduced in one arc and then rarely, if ever, seeing him again. So for me, I would go in a very different direction than Super did. With the introduction of Battle of Gods and the God hierarchy in the other universes, I would have made it where there were new power systems. So essentially, Goku and friends would have to travel to each universe, and that's how they would be getting the Super Dragon Ball. It's kind of like the idea that was initially pitched, and basically, maybe there's a villain or multiple villains that are trying to secure the Super Dragon Ball so that they can get their own wish, and then we learn that in other universes, they have different types of powers. So Ki doesn't work in universe 11, for example. They have a totally different power system, and basically Goku and friends will have to keep learning different powers along the way and accumulating them, and then maybe mixing and matching them and getting their own abilities and techniques. And some characters who are really weak right now compared to Goku and Vegeta and Gohan sometimes are going to be really powerful because they can unlock something. Like Tien would be able to gain an ability that would let him destroy Goku, Vegeta, and everyone else in this universe, or under these circumstances, Oob would be able to tap into his energy as Kid Buu and stuff like that from pre-reincarnation. There's a million things that I would do. In terms of what they would do, you'd have to ask them that question. I don't quite know. We haven't really talked about that at length. I feel like maybe they would probably go a little bit more of a traditional route than myself because, I tend to kind of think outside the box a lot more than all of them, I would have to say. Not anything against them, but that's just kind of how I am. The box is kind of an idea for me. It's not really a thing. And so sometimes I think a little bit too far outside the box for my own good. But with that being said, I would probably make it something more along those lines. And I think it would be better for it. And if it wasn't better, if it was horribly worse and I ruined everything by doing this, well, you guys could just disregard the series, right? And then you could just go back to watching the other stuff. It's like, let's flip a coin. Let's flip the dice and roll the dice, and hopefully it won't be horrible, but hopefully if it is, I won't be burned at the stake as the horrible, I would say witch, but I don't know, wizard I am. But thank you so much, Xavier, for your question. Let me get back to what you guys are saying in the chat. Talk about Dragon Ball Magic here today. If you guys haven't seen yet, make sure to drop a like. Make sure to let me know your own thoughts. If you're just watching, you haven't commented yet, I want to hear all of them because, you guys are the ones who are going to be watching this. You're the ones who are going to be talking about this, no doubt. So let's hear what you guys have to think, because I'm the most interested in that at the moment. And I'll do my best to respond to what you guys might ask or what you have to expect in terms of that. Rip Vegeta fans. Well, I mean, the thing is, I do like Vegeta. I make a lot of jokes about Vegeta in my videos. I do the same thing about Goku and all the other characters, but, it comes from a place of love. And Vegeta has always been one of my favorite Dragon Ball characters. Not my favorite. I prefer his son by far. And also Goku's son, at least up until a point. I prefer Goku's son, Son Gohan, who is the grandson of Son Gohan, through Son Goku, surrogately. What if they bring back Launch? Yeah, that would require Toriyama remembering that he didn't forget about her in the first place. That's the thing that's kind of funny. It's like that story that Chris Sabat said years ago, where he's like, he met Toriyama and said, what happened to Launch? And Toriyama was like, oh, I forgot. And he was like really upset. And then he was like, no, don't worry about it, man. It's all good, Toriyama. And then at that point, we had, us finding out that's actually not true, that Toriyama didn't forget about Launch. He actually explained in the story that Launch went off to look for Tien. I guess you could say he forgot about her afterward, but it seems more like Toriyama forgot that he didn't forget. Either that or Toriyama is one of the biggest trolls in history, which I actually have a video that I'm going to be coming out with soon because I'm going to blow all your guys' mind in a sense, but the truth is there's a chance that Toriyama, well, his memory isn't anywhere near as bad as you guys might think. In fact, that he lets on. Maybe Toriyama is actually a master of disguise in a sense, let's say. Toriyama is somebody who pretends to not remember things, but he does. And I'll talk more about that in the future. I think I talked about that actually in a previous stream I did on here, if you guys remember, where I showed a panel from the Saiyan saga and then one from the end of the Cell saga, and how he literally took one and put it into another one. And it's kind of like, if Toriyama didn't go back and read his manga and everything, then he wouldn't exactly be doing that, would he? I guess he'll say. Oh, wow, Phantom. You were the bomb in Phantoms. Are you Ben Affleck? Can I be in the next Batman movie? That'll never happen. Okay, so you left another super chat. Thank you so much. But no, seriously, I am a big fan of your movies, Ben Affleck. But who would you replace overall for the series? Could you clarify a little bit what you mean by that? You could just write in a normal chat so I can give a better answer for your question. What series? Magic? Because we don't really know everything about it yet, if all this is 100% verified. Like I said before, guys, I do want to put this out here again, full screen this right here. So with regard to Dragon Ball Magic and the possibility of it, I do just want to say that there is a chance that some of this information might not be 100% accurate. Like I said, I believe in seeing and believing in that sense with regard to Dragon Ball and a lot of this stuff. I mean, I've been an anime fan for a long time. There's so many anime I've wanted to see come out or to come back. Like Vampire Hunter D, Resurrection or whatever it's called. I've literally been waiting for like 15 years for that. Hunter x Hunter, the Kurapika Adventures, like, come on guys, let's go Madhouse. Whatever you're making right now, just delete it off the hard drives. I don't care. And make Hunter x Hunter again. I mean, Bleach came back. Bleach was like on hiatus for like, what, 10 years or something? Whenever the Fullbring arc ended. You guys can let me know if you've watched Bleach. So I definitely, it's a matter of time. That's the thing. When you're a fan of a big franchise, it's usually a matter of time, even for small franchises. Like, we live in the era of the nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, and not just that, but where they make sequels decades later. Top Gun Maverick, Blade Runner 2049, things like that. So Phantom, just let me know in a regular chat if you want what you mean by who would I replace overall for the series. I don't see your follow-up. So did I make a Jay and Silent Bob reference? I'm trying to remember what reference did I just make. I've seen all of the View Askewniverse movies with the exception of I think Red State and the newest Clerks. I've been waiting to see the newest Clerks, but I don't want to have to rent it off of Amazon Prime. So if you mean like who would I replace for the overall series, like I still haven't seen you respond to that. So what I'm going to say is, who would I replace for the overall series as Phantom 89? I would replace, like, in terms of like Dragon Ball Super, like if you mean who would I replace like as a main character, I would replace like, I mean, like I said, Goku and Vegeta. I'd rather like shift them and put somebody else in a position. So like Goten and Trunks as teenagers, like, you know, the grown-up ones, Pan, Oob especially, like, you know, this kid's been getting by on potential for forever. You know, let's actually see him do something other than, you know, barely anything in GT. I mean, we could see a whole series about Goku as a master. I wouldn't, if we're gonna have Goku as a main character, I wouldn't mind that. Like, you know, how awesome would it be to have episodes where Goku's like trying to train his disciples and he's like struggling. He's like, wow, this is so much harder. I thought this was easy when I saw Roshi doing it and King Kai. And then we see Goku like going to his different masters and learning from them. And like Master Roshi, despite supposedly at this point in Super being way weaker than Goku, you know, telling him, oh, you still have so much to learn, my boy. You know, I'm hundreds of years old and you're not even 100 yet, you know? And so, you know, basically like there's so much to learn that it's not just about physical power and it's about technique. It's about like there's so much they could do that I would love to see. That would be so much more fascinating to me. And you could still have Goku fighting. You could have one of his disciples turn evil, you know, but having it like focus on the transition to that next period, you know, look at Cobra Kai, you know, it worked great in that. I mean, you know, my favorite character is probably still Johnny in the show, but, you know, in Chosen, he's good in there too. Daniel's fine, you know, but we like the next characters because of how well they execute it. But in terms of magic, which character would you like to get rid of Goku for a different? Oh, I see. Okay. If you mean in Magic, like, again, like if it's like a spin-off series, I would prefer it to be about like, I don't know, one of the less developed characters in the story, or, you know, like have a series about Piccolo going to Namek, you know, learning more about his heritage, maybe learning about what actually caused the destruction of his people with the horrible drought and storm or whatever it was. Maybe it was like a terrible magical villain. You know, there's a lot of things I think would be interesting to explore in that direction. Oh, I see Phantom once again. You sent another super chat. Let me show that on the screen. I'm getting better at this, guys. I will, or at least I will eventually. Okay, it's not showing all of them for some reason on here. I could see them in the chat. Refresh! Nope. Here we go. All right, so next one, Phantom. Tori, the master beta troll. Yeah, I mean, he could very well be like that. Xavier de God. Oh, thank you so much for another super chat. Will you ever review DB Evolution LSC? That's a great question. Let me pop that up again, full screen. Will I ever review Dragon Ball Evolution? Very possible. I'm actually planning to do it for whenever the next anniversary is. Let's see. What year did Dragon Ball Evolution come out? Was it 2009 or 2010-ish? You guys can let me know right now. But whenever, like, I don't know, the 15-year anniversary comes out, I think that might be a good time for me to review it. And by review, I'm probably just going to trash it because it's terrible. But when will you upload a guitar cover of The Trooper? Yeah, well, I don't quite know if that's going to happen anytime soon, but I do have in my fridge right here. Gotta have a mini fridge in the office, guys. You guys are working from home. Gotta have some cold beverages. I do got one of these bad boys for a special occasion. Maybe I'll drink this, the Trooper. Maybe I'll drink this when they make the official announcement at Comic-Con. I'm considering actually going to see if I can get into the panel and maybe ask some questions and stuff like that. And obviously covering it on my channel. I think that'd be awesome too. Because it's not really that far from me. So I could definitely see myself going. which means I won't be able to drink this, but I could definitely get hammered afterward. And not by Thor. Okay. Let's see what else. 2009. Okay, so next year, for the anniversary of Dragon Ball Evolution, I'll do a review for it. Let's see. When did it come out? 2009. Hey Siri, Dragon Ball Evolution release date. Of course you don't know. And these things are going to wipe us out in the future? I mean, come on. All right, let me look it up real quick. Unless you guys have already done it for me. You guys seem to be faster at this whole computer thing. All right, IMDb. Actually, a lot of times recently, I've just been using IMDb in my movie reviews because, like, it seems like a very easy to understand way of conveying information to an audience, and also really easy for me just to look up everything. Even though, you know, I'm kind of you can ask Kwame, and I'm kind of excited. I'm not an encyclopedia on how to pronounce things. I'm kind of an encyclopedia when it comes to movies. Okay. And I'm actually spelling it correctly. Dragon Ball Evolution. Oh, let me show this on my stream. This is funny. Wait. Okay. What do you guys think on IMDb? Without looking, I don't know if you cheat. What do you guys think the score is for Dragon Ball Evolution on IMDb? Let me know. And then I'll show you guys. I'll make a dramatic reveal. And hopefully it'll be better than Dragon. You know, hopefully it'll be worse than minus or magic. What do you guys think the score is on there? Let me know. Meanwhile, I'll take a sip of water for the working man out there. I appreciate all you guys paying those gimmicks in the mail called bills. Seven? Hell no. Okay, so 1 out of 5. Kind of close, Xavier. 10 out of 100. Very close, too. Okay. So, Dragon Ball Evolution. The score is, drum roll, 2.5. Which, for me, is 2.5 points higher than it actually should be. Which is, itself... 9,001 points higher than it should be. It should be negative 9,001 because it's garbage. So yeah, Dragon Ball Evolution is terrible. However, the reason why I'm on here, I like how it says writers Akira Toriyama when they literally like told him that they didn't want him involved and they didn't care about his advice, which is what pissed him off so much. He decided to go make Battle of Gods with Toei. Yeah. So in terms of that, this movie came out on... Where is it? And here I thought this would make it easy to find the actual release date. Where's the release date? Where is the release date? Where's the trigger? You wouldn't give it to an ordinary citizen. Where is it? Where is that trigger? April 10th. Okay. It was a April Fool's joke, that's for sure. So I will be reviewing this on April 10th of next year. And yeah, make sure to stay tuned for that. I'll do it on Laughingstock Cinema. Let's see. Hopefully by then I'll be remonetized in Laughingstock Cinema. If you guys haven't seen it, I do have another channel called Laughingstock Cinema, which is right here, where I talk about movies and live action TV shows. Actually recently released a live action review, obviously, of Dark Knight Trilogy, which I saw in theaters back to back in a marathon. It was awesome. I also have talked about in this past year Punisher 2004, Halloween Kills, which is trash, or at least I think that was 2 years ago, really. Why Mission Impossible is great, and why the newest Mission Impossible is really good too. So check it out, Laughingstock Cinema, where I occasionally, and hopefully less occasionally soon in the future when I start doing it more, talk about movies. It's pretty awesome, I agree. And Dragon Ball Evolution, well, it's trash, so definitely not covering that until next April. And when I do, I'm going to do my best to be very elevated, if you will. Because you need to be to watch that garbage. And unfortunately, I have seen Dragon Ball Evolution multiple times. I don't know how I'm still here, guys. It's like I've seen Avatar Last Airbender, or just the Last Airbender movie, more than once as well. I'm surprised I didn't die from, starvation after throwing up the entire movie because of how horrible it was. Yeah, it was really bad. At least we got the VA for Zamasu. That's true. We did get what's his fake name that he used in the in the show? We did get not D'Artarian Nickelback. That was Damian Clark. What was his fake name? You guys can let me know in the chat. So in case anyone here has might have missed it, I talked a little bit about what is being reported on for the Dragon Ball Magic anime, the web anime, let's say. And so, as we've seen thus far, let me show my screen one more time. Not that one. Here we go. So Dragon Ball Magic, it's going to be a web anime. The plot is going to involve Goku, so this is all that's been reported, or at least is being leaked, supposedly. The plot will involve Goku and the Supreme Kai being turned into children by an evil being who might be some sort of magician or demon. And then they are going to team up with two new characters, a guy and a girl. One has a gun, one has a sword, and it's not Gun X Sword, although I did enjoy that anime when I saw it. And Toriyama is heavily involved in it. Dragon Ball Magic, you can argue it is canon, even though I talked about in a video in the top right corner in another video coming out tomorrow or the next day or something, or if it is fully canon and how that works. How long the episodes will be, could be 20 minutes, could be 45. I guess it depends. We'll have to find out how many episodes. Again, that's a little bit up in the air, but seems like it's going to be at least about a core, so about 12 to 15 episodes. And maybe it'll lead to future spinoffs. Maybe this itself will open the door for much more to come in the future. And that's something I definitely think all of this, if it happens, could be interesting. But, the jury's out. Maybe the whole Goku becoming a kid thing again is going to be really disappointing. Maybe nobody's going to like Creepy Shin and his weird smiles as one of the main characters. And maybe nobody will like the other two main characters. Maybe everyone's going to hate this show and it's going to bomb horribly. And, it's going to be really disappointing. Or maybe it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know what the best thing was supposed to be before sliced bread. I guess oxygen and food and water. I guess they just, they made bread and they didn't know how to slice it for hundreds or thousands of years or something. They just ripped it apart. They bit right into it. And yeah. So hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully. Yeah, James Marston, that's his real name. But I mean, I'm pretty sure he used a fake name in the credits because just like Damian Clark, he's actually union-based, and the union doesn't really like to work with Funimation, I guess. Either that or Funimation doesn't pay them enough to be a part of the union, something like that. And so as a result, Damian Clark became D'Artarian Nickelback in the credits for Dragon Ball Kai. And also James Marston, unless that's the name of the Cyclops actor. I don't remember. But either way, Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer and also Piccolo from Dragon Ball Evolution did some kind of fake name in the credits of Dragon Ball Super so that he could do Zamasu. And then Sean Schemmel did a British accent because of creative license. Yeah. How are they gonna make Supreme Kai interesting when he's soggy cornflakes? By making him crispy frosted flakes or Reese's Pieces, Reese's Cups, or what are those called again? Reese's Puffs, Mrs. Puff. Oh, SpongeBob, why? Okay, it was James Marsden who plays Cyclops. Awesome. Are you a Transformers or Ninja Turtle fan? Yeah, I grew up with both of them. So, used to love Ninja Turtles and, Transformers. I don't really like the live action movies that much. I like the original one, and I enjoyed the Beast Wars one a lot more than I expected. For Ninja Turtles, my favorite version of Ninja Turtles is I think 2012 series, the one that I think was on Nicktoons, not the 3D one, the little bit darker one where they were fighting against Shredder and like the Utan were in it, and the really awesome one. That was great. My leg, my eyes, my cabbages. Oh wait, wrong franchise. I do have that franchise though behind me, right about. Wait. Right there. Got the Abada Last Ibn. Interestingly, I don't own Korra. I wonder why that is. I wonder why I wouldn't own The Legend of Korra. And I specifically just bought Avatar on Blu-ray and not The Legend of Korra. Curious and curiouser. 2003, there we go. That's what I was talking about. 2003 was great. That's probably my favorite one. I like the original cartoon as a kid. I liked movies. My favorite one as a kid was actually Secret of the Ooze, the second one. I had a lot of nostalgia for that movie. That's definitely one of the most nostalgic movies for me. That, Hook, with Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman and stuff. Definitely some really nostalgic movies for me. Am I going to review Korra? Did I ever review Avatar? I don't think so, right? I would probably have to review that first, I would assume. Yeah, I already reviewed it on my other channel, ER. I mean, I think he might have done a face reveal recently, so obviously you guys know it isn't me. Mary Sue? Hold on. I remember I did that in one of my Maris videos. I was like, Marish just so happens to be an angel and really powerful and knows about Ultra Instinct and was introduced and happened to train Whis to be even better, or trained Goku to be even better than what Whis did and a million other things. Mary Sue? Yeah, I've seen Flubber. It's a very interesting movie, but I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to take a brief intermission for just a few minutes. Send me any questions you might have in the meantime. I gotta get a drink, nature calls and all, and I'll be right back in the future, which is, very soon. I'm gonna do a classic Mike and walk right off the stream for a few minutes. I'll be right back. Oh, and everything that happens when I'm not on stream is non-canon. Because I can decide that. Okay, now everything's canon again. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. What's my favorite Pokemon gen? Probably 2 or 3. Maybe, I mean, 1 was for a long time. I really loved 3, and 2 was always my favorite. But maybe next time I play 3, we'll see if it'll move up a spot or 2. Those 3, they play the rock paper scissors game. Oh, Phantom 89, Bomb and Phantoms. That's what I always think about whenever I see your name. Oh, that's probably the reference I was making, the Silent Bob one you were talking about earlier. All right, let's see. Here we go. So you asked me, will I ever review Demolition Man on... Let me heart your stuff, by the way. Will I ever review Demolition Man on LSC? Yeah, I really like Demolition Man. It's one of my favorite Stallone movies. Does anyone know? Oh, I could just do it on here. Does anyone know what the specific release date for that one was? Because maybe I'll do it for another anniversary. I think that'd be really good job. That'd be really fun. Maybe I'll even review this at some point. The Magic Begins. Has anyone in the chat ever actually seen this, or is it just me? Wow, your all-time favorite movie. I mean, it's really good. You know, the number one thing I like about it is that Taco Bell wins the restaurant wars. I mean, it's clearly the best. Drinking some let me do full screen again. Waiting for you guys to answer me about that one, but this stream is not sponsored to you by Mountain Dew, Major Melon, Zero Sugar. Because sugar's for peasants who aren't doing keto. Chemically good. I love all those chemicals. They're definitely healthy for me, aren't they? All that fake sweetener. It's wonderful. From Thailand. I don't remember, to be honest, where it's from. Let me see if it's on IMDb. Let me pull up the old IMDb real quick. There we go. 1991. Looks like it was made in, kind of funny, has a higher rating than Dragon Ball Evolution. An evil alien searches the earth for 7 dragon pearls. Very authentic. Which can grant him ultimate power. Unlimited power! A gang of misfit adventurers band together to stop him. Director and writer, oh, actually, no, just the director is Chun Liang Chen. Let's see what else Chun Liang Chen made. So he's from Taiwan, so that seems to be backing up this theory I'm hearing right now. He has made a bunch of movies I've never seen or heard of, but I definitely have seen and heard of Magic Begins. It says, again, writer Akira Toriyama. I'm pretty sure Akira Toriyama didn't have much to do with this. So, as the main character, we have Monkey Boy. Yeah, I wonder who that's supposed to be. And then Sea-Tao, Westwood, Piggy, Turtle Man. I wonder who that's supposed to be. Sparkle, Jen Kinghorn, Zebrata, Malilia, Jen's father. I'm guessing Jen might be... maybe it's going to be either Bulma or Chi-Chi. Sounds like Chi-Chi. Whereas Jian Hisiu, or Genie Hisiu, terrible pronunciation there. Sea-Tao, I would see probably playing Bulma. Obviously, it's a knockoff for sure. But yeah, maybe I'll do a review for this. This came out in 1991, so I don't know, the 33-year anniversary next year, or maybe I'll just do it for fun at some point. Why not? Oh, looks like Xavier once again sending in another super chat bomb right here, $2. Awesome. Your favorite Star Wars, Spider-Man, and Marvel movie? What is happening right now? Is it showing like footage from a... Oh, I guess I accidentally like went back really far in my stream. Okay, so my favorite Star Wars, Spider-Man, Marvel movie. Okay. So, Star Wars, my favorite one is Return of the Jedi. I had the pleasure of seeing that again in theaters earlier this year. That was really cool. Spider-Man, my favorite one is either Spider-Man 2 or No Way Home. I just really like No Way Home for blending all that together, but Spider-Man 2 before that was my favorite. And my favorite Marvel movie, so do you mean MCU or Marvel? So for general Marvel movies, like I said, if I'm going to separate them, Marvel might be Spider-Man 2. X-Men 2 is up there for me as well. Actually, no. My favorite all-time Marvel movie is X-Men Days of Future Past. Love that movie. 10 out of 10 for me, or at least a 9. That movie's amazing. And I could tell the second the movie started, I was like, wow, this is great. Which, you know, some movies are like that. They immediately take you in. You realize just how great it is. So that one, excellent. Days of Future Past. And for my favorite MCU movie, that would have to be probably Captain America Winter Soldier. You know, even though Infinity War is great, there are things I don't necessarily like about it. Like the people who get snapped away, for instance. Spider-Man No Way Home is really great. Civil War is really great, except for like things I've talked about in the past in my review on my channel. I think it's on this channel actually. So yeah, Winter Soldier is probably my favorite. That one for me is just a great standalone movie, and not just that, but also a great just like comic book movie in general. And the connection between like Captain America and Bucky is great, and that's what really kind of gets me in that movie. Like the scene near the end, spoilers, where Captain America is fighting Bucky on the helicarrier or whatever it is, and you know, like they're fighting, and Cap could probably kill Bucky theoretically, and he's just like, you know what? I'm done fighting. You're my friend, and I don't care anymore, and I'm not going to fight you anymore. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to hurt you because you're my friend. And he like drops his shield, and Bucky starts to beat him over and over. And then he's like, you know, I'm here with you until the end of the line. That is such like an awesome sequence. So yeah, that scene just itself makes it maybe my favorite in the MCU, but it's just a great movie overall. A little bit of shaky cam and close cuts and stuff, which I'm not a fan of, but you know, other than that, great movie. It's like the Dark Knight for Captain America. And I just saw the Dark Knight movies, which you could check out in Laughingstock Cinema. Cheap plug. Pulling a Mick Foley here. Who is my favorite DC character? Batman. And if you ask who my favorite Pokemon is, I'll show you both at the same time. There is Batman alongside Umbreon. So yeah. Rayquaza is pretty up there too, though. And by the way, this art is from Wiz Yakuza on Instagram and some of those other platforms. Highly recommend checking him out. He's great at what he does. I never had the chance to meet him. Maybe I met him at Kamehacon if he was there, or Tampa Bay Comic Con, but when I went years ago. But yeah, I've met a good number of artists and people from this platform and people involved in the Dragon Ball franchise, like from the voice actors to people involved. And, it was, they're always really nice people when I talk to them. Phantom 89. Let's pop that up one more time with your super chat. I'm really appreciative of everyone who sends these in. And I get to answer your questions directly because it's so much easier for me to see when they're like this. So, Phantom, you said, Mike, do you know how to use the 3 seashells? No, I don't. I assume that you... Well, the way that you use the 3 seashells is... Hey, wait, what's that over there? I guess we'll never know. Yeah, the 3 seashells, that's the joke in Demolition Man where, Sly asks, how to use the bathroom. He's like, where's the toilet paper? And they're like, he doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells. So, yeah, basically you use them by seeing them being sold by she by the sea. That's kind of how it is, I suppose you could say. Okay. Have I seen Hell of a Boss? No, I've never heard of it. What's that? Is that a movie or a show or a channel on here? There's so many YouTube channels, I can't really keep track of all of them. What do I think of El Camino? Okay. I think I reviewed it on Laughingstock Cinema, but I really liked it. I think it's a really nice addition to the Breaking Bad franchise in that we learn a lot more about Jesse, some of the things that he was encountering during like the 5th season, for example. And then we get an actual resolution for his character because, tons of people speculated before that Jesse was like caught by the police or this or that, and he was just going to go to jail forever. And, fortunately we got a totally different story than that. So I liked it. I haven't seen the Sopranos movie, but I haven't finished the series yet. So I heard a lot of people didn't like that. That's one of the biggest problems with a show becoming a movie or like having a movie edition or like a spinoff or whatever, is that usually everything's too crammed together. And not just that, but also it rarely ever lives up to the show itself. Like the Twin Peaks movie, I was not a fan of that, to be honest. Fire Walk with Me. I haven't seen The Return, but it could be good. Favorite WWE entrance music? That's a really good question. Currently, maybe Randy Orton's. Overall, like all time, either like The Undertaker's, the Choplin's Death March, or Funeral March. And then I really like Stone Cold's Disturbed entrance, the Glass Shatters. I think that was awesome. I don't know why he stopped using that eventually. Maybe because he wanted to go back to like the more iconic entrance, or maybe the license ran out. But I used to listen to that song just on its own. I'm a big Disturbed fan, or at least up until a point. That's a lot of bands though. It's like Metallica. I love like Metallica's early stuff. I hate when I get stuff in my shirt. Love Metallica's early stuff, but after like when it gets to about Injustice for All, then it starts to kind of fall off for me. Yeah, Glass Shatters was great for Stone Cold. It's one of those songs that when you hear it, you fully go on. I actually really like Roman's music right now too. I don't know if it's just because of the way that like they make a big deal out of his entrance every time. Roman takes as long or longer than The Undertaker to get to the damn ring when he's going to have a wrestling match. We all know it's going to be 4 times longer than it should be and end with like 15 people interfering. But, I do kind of like his entrance music. But there's a lot of people who had entrance music over the years that just didn't work as like a wrestling theme. I also didn't really like it when The Undertaker did Ain't No Grave That Can Hold My Body Down or whatever it was that one time. I wasn't really that big of a fan of when he used that one like Death Magnetic Metallica song either when he had his match against AJ Styles. But, you know, he tried new things. I ironically, maybe because I was a kid at the time, didn't mind his Limp Bizkit roll-in music. Okay, so for anyone tuning in right now who might have missed earlier when I talked about everything, we talked about Dragon Ball Magic, a new upcoming web anime. From all the reports, this is all based on reports that have come out and information. The plot involves Goku and Shin. Not this, definitely. This is Dragon Ball Magic Begins, but involves Goku and Shin. Essentially making out for 40 episodes. No, it involves Goku and Shin being turned into kids, and by some evil villain, and then they have to team up with some other people and go on an adventure to defeat them, so that they can, I guess, become adults again. And, they want to get their bodies back. And so they learn alchemy and they go to Amestris and they go to Shing and a bunch of other places and they fight against Scar. And then they fight against the father who is able to create suns in his hands. And then even though he's basically omnipotent because he has ultimate alchemy, they beat him by punching him and kicking him and shooting him a million times until he's tired enough to where they win. Great ending. I do love that show, though, if anyone here has actually seen it. It's great, but yeah, that ending, or at least the way that they beat him, could be better. Could be better for sure. But yeah, that's basically what Dragon Ball Magic is being said to be all about. Limp Bizkit is your favorite band. Wow. That's definitely interesting. They're not mine, but or a lot of other people's, but hey, everyone's entitled to like whatever they like. I used to really like them when they first came out when I was a kid. They were big back then. And then eventually everyone was like, oh, Limp Bizkit sucks and they're terrible and nobody ever liked them. It's like, yeah, they did. I was there. It's kind of like Nickelback. I'm not really a Nickelback fan. Like, they're kind of elevator music rock for me almost, but like tons of people like them, or they at least used to, but now they're like a meme because they're like seen as like a terrible band, and so like they're a meme basically. I also remember, look at this phonograph, like all the memes that they did for like that Photograph song they had. And yeah, a lot of people who are Dragon Ball fans are also wrestling fans. There's crossover because wrestling is basically like live action anime. Same thing with Rocky. Watch the Rocky movies, guys. They're great. If they put anime music in there, it would totally fit. Like, put a bunch of themes from My Hero Academia. Do I watch AEW or Impact? I watched Impact for years. Like, from like the early 2000s to I don't know, a little bit after Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff were there. And yeah, I wasn't really like, eventually I just stopped watching it. I didn't really care for it anymore. I didn't think it was like well handled. I think they kind of botched the whole Monday Night Wars that never should have happened. There was a million things that they just did wrong along the way, and terrible management by Dixie Carter. And eventually I just stopped watching. AEW, on the other hand, I watched them when they first started up until like, I don't know, a year ago or something. Very occasionally I'll go in and I'll watch something from them, like, a pay-per-view or something, but I just don't really watch wrestling much anymore, to be honest. Like, I watch Raw or SmackDown sometimes. I usually watch the pay-per-views because I have Peacock, but Other than that, like, I just fell out of wrestling because I stopped caring because I didn't think that most of it was well done. Like, you know, especially in recent times, like there were times when I got back into it and I was really looking forward to things, like when AEW came back, when what is it? When Bray Wyatt came back as the Fiend for the first time, and like I was like, this is awesome. I knew that they were going to ruin it eventually because they usually ruin those things, especially when it came to Bray Wyatt. They every time he did something new, they would ruin it. Not that everything he came up with was good, because like Bray Wyatt definitely had some really weird stuff that just was weird to say the least, you know, to be redundant. Matches that just didn't work, but like when we got to that match with him and Seth Rollins in Hell in the Cell and it ended in a DQ, that was like one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in WWE, and that, like, you know, was one of the many things that killed my faith in what they were doing. I only watch when The Rock returns. I mean, he returned this past week and I watched. So sometimes, yeah. I watched, you know, when Austin came back too. I mean, of all people to have a match with at WrestleMania, Kevin Owens was kind of a weird choice, but you know, hey, we got another Austin match. That was cool. I don't think we're ever going to see Austin, you know, maybe we'll see Roman versus Rock at the next WrestleMania, but you know, Danny and a lot of other people have said that it's going to be Cody versus Roman again, and Cody's going to get the belt back, but I would have much preferred if he had gotten it at this WrestleMania. It would have made a lot more sense. And Roman just is boring to me as the champion at this point, to be honest. Like, I've never been a huge Roman Reigns fan. Like, I never thought he was anywhere near as bad as people made him out to be, but at the same time, like, when he won the belt, I was like, okay, well, that means that Roman's going to be the champ again for another year, so I don't care. Like, when he won against Cody. Like, anytime people go up against Roman, like, they don't win. So it's like, who cares? Here's another month of Roman not winning or not losing. Here's another month of, you know, him not dropping the belt. Here's another month of the same story again and again and again and again. It's like, I don't care. I'm not interested in watching that. Like, if you change the story and you up promote other wrestlers and you do something different, then maybe I'll watch. But why should I care when, like, the top champion has been the champion for years? His matches are all the same and they're all boring to me. They all last like 30 to 40 minutes. Half of that is his entrance. And then it almost always ends with either him dominating the person, hitting the spear and the Superman punch, or with like 15 people interfering. And like the Cody one was like the dumbest one too. It's like Solo interferes. He gets kicked out. Solo interferes while wearing a hoodie. And then Roman wins. Man, how stupid. Like, that's the best you can come up with? Okay. And then they have to, like, create a new championship and then give it to Seth Rollins because they don't want to have Roman lose. So let's make a new belt. Fucking stupid is that? I'm not a huge Seth Rollins fan either, to be honest. Like, I think he's really good in the ring, but like his characters are just so obnoxious. I don't enjoy watching them. Like, every time he has that stupid laugh, like and stuff, I just I'm not interested. Or like Asuka, she was pushed for such a while, but like she used to be such a more interesting character to watch, and then she just started screaming like random gibberish like every single second she got the chance, and it's like, why do I want to watch this? You know, like why you keep ruining all the good characters and wrestlers and stuff? But you know, I can go on for hours about that. I've actually considered making a video why I stopped watching wrestling, even though I do watch it every now and then. I'm sure that there's plenty of other videos out there like that, though. Mike, who's your favorite actor who played Michael Myers? Probably the original. Who's my favorite? Oh, I already read that. I miss when The Rock used to sing to people. Yeah, when he would bring out the guitar. Um, Maybe I'll do that one stream in the future. How funny would it be funny if Shin got turned into a kid, also turned Beerus into a kid? Yeah, I guess that would be kind of funny because the combination Beerus is like a kitten. That would be kind of funny. Beerus is like the same size as Corrin. Yeah, maybe I'll make the wrestling video at some point for sure. Nick Castle was good. I don't remember who that was. Oh, the actor. Okay, yeah. Um, Creed, My Own Prison is a good song. I mean, I liked Creed when I was a kid too. I mean, it used to be on the radio all the time, you know, but they're another band I think that became a meme that people don't like. Hugh Laurie is your favorite actor. Interesting. I used to like watching House. I actually did a kind of a little spoof of House when I started my channel. I did a video called Feel. You know, I'm on stream. Let me show you that. I'll show you my first ever video on the channel. It's completely different than anything you've ever seen on this channel before. I'll do a live reaction to my first ever video. So watch this. Actually, hold on. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. And now let me cue that up. You're in for a treat, guys, for sure. For this, I did all the animation along with all the music, voice acting, everything. So took a little bit, I feel like, to make, but I did. I am so proud of this. No, I'm not. Let me actually make sure I'm sharing my audio on here too. Let me know what you guys think about this amazing masterpiece I created called Feel. Coming this summer from the makers of that Feel with No Girlfriend. And I know that feel. The motion picture event that will give you feels. And like this is a big spoof of like Drive with Ryan Gosling. So I had him wearing like whatever that meme, the Peppy Frog or Doomer or whatever. I drew the whole thing and I had like the face overlapping, you know, to make fun of those old school like 90 or like 80s movies with the overlapping imagery and stuff. And then I kind of like recorded to make it look like, well, you'll see. I like that eye shot. I kind of got that from Blade Runner a little bit. Very anime inspired shot for sure. And then I like tried to make it look like there was a car accident because it leads into what I was telling you guys about before. My Hugh Laurie impression. And the joke is one of the big memes of the time was that Feel with No Girlfriend. So He's like, oh, do you have a girlfriend that you can call to come for you? And and he just like, ugh, that feel. So yeah, clearly a masterpiece. I'm sure you guys can well, you would have to agree with that. You must be compelled to do so, right? If you want, I can also show you guys the sequel, but only if you want to. And yeah, this came out originally in 2014. So 9 years ago. A little bit over that. But I will probably be wrapping it up soon, guys. So if you had any last minute questions you wanted to ask me or anything like that, let me know. And be wrapping it up. I'll also, if you guys are interested, I can also show you the second feel, Man of Feel, where I made fun of Man of Steel after it came out. Shin, the Supreme Kai from Z. Yeah, he indeed was the same Supreme Kai from Dragon Ball Z. Would you like to see the Dragon Ball's usage have a negative effect like GT? I do. Yeah, I mean, that was a concept Toriyama came up with in the Buu Saga, but never actually explored anything about it. Hot dogs or hamburgers? I don't really like hot dogs that much. So definitely hamburgers. Not a big like sausage person, to be perfectly honest. My favorite Marvel character? Probably Wolverine. Maybe that's kind of a generic answer, but always was a big fan of Wolverine. He was always my favorite X-Men. I also really like, let's see. I mean, if we're talking about villains, like Magneto, Thanos from the comics, heroes. I always like Thor too. I always thought he was interesting in the comics, like entertaining in kind of like a weird way. Do I remember Annoying Orange? Yeah. I I remember when that came out, but it was rather annoying, so I stopped watching it. I'm doing all right. How's it going, Flucus? What if Goku landed in Albuquerque, New Mexico? Then he would team up with Walter White and Jesse Pinkman and make some of that crystal blue persuasion. Yeah, I think I like corn dogs more than regular hot dogs. Yeah, I think the corn covering makes it better and more edible for me. I just don't really like the hot dog itself. I've had like corn dogs with like beef before, and I actually think I probably like those more. I do like Red Hots though. I think those are pretty good. I like spicy food in general. I'm a huge spicy food person. What's my favorite scene from Aquaman? Hmm. I don't know. I mean, there's the octopus or squid with the drums. That part is entertaining. Um, I like Black Manta. I think he's pretty cool in that movie. Let's see. And the thing about Aquaman, especially like on the home theater experience, is like it's so weird, like the shifts in quality between scenes. Like it'll go from like looking really good and being generally good and entertaining to being just like, what the heck am I watching right now? It's weird. Like when you watch a movie on 4K home video, a lot of the time that 4K home video is going to look almost like a totally different movie based on what you're watching. Like I watched Hellboy on 4K for the first time yesterday, and it looks totally different than I've ever seen it look before. And I almost probably didn't enjoy it as much as I normally do as a result. It's weird. Like sometimes when you watch a movie in such super high quality of not only um, video but audio, it's like watching a different movie, or it's like watching the same movie but like almost like a remake. It's weird. It's kind of like the experience when you watch like the Justice League and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. It like feels like a different movie, even though it's like a lot of the same footage. I mean, it is a different movie, but you see what I mean. So sometimes you'll watch a movie that you've never seen even in regular HD, and you'll watch it on 4K, and it's like, wow, it's massive difference. And that's what the movie was like for me. But for me, it doesn't really hold up now as much either, because like I could see and notice all the sounds and the editing and like the effects, especially the visual effects. They don't hold up anymore. But I got Hellboy 2, The Golden Army on 4K a few months ago, and I watched that, and I still really like that one. I always thought that was the better of the two. Have I seen X-Men by Pete Holmes and Batman or Badman? Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff. Back when he was a YouTuber, I thought it was kind of funny. I think that he has like a show now. Back when they were giving YouTubers TV shows, I guess they missed me. Um, my favorite scene from DBE is the credits. My favorite scene is when the disc didn't load. My favorite scene is when it was erased from existence and nobody ever remembered it happened. Or my favorite scene is when the writer apologized for writing it because he did such a terrible job. Did you put any more thoughts into doing some lighting? Lighting. Do you mean for my office? Yeah. Um, I got some colored lighting that I'm using. I got some for like my TV so that I can have a better home theater experience, but I also got some for the room. Like the lights I have set up in here really do not help with this camera. I've come to notice. And so it either looks too dark or too washed out. And so as a result, it doesn't look like it probably doesn't look like I'm in 4K for a lot of you, right? Like maybe like 1440 or something. But like this camera can look great based upon the lighting. So there's some movies where it's like night and day difference. And a lot of times I record at night now. Some of my videos I record at like 12 o'clock or something, but it's kind of how it is. Yeah, I mean, it needs to have cheese on a burger for sure. Um, Sometimes even in the burger, but I don't really, I do keto for the most part, like, eating a low carb yogurt right now, and just threw some peanut butter in there, also low carb. So I don't really eat a lot of bread, but every now and then if I get a burger, maybe I'll get like a bun. But I typically just, when I make burgers, I typically just eat them with a fork and knife. I'll put some cheese on there. I'll put some peppers like jalapenos, habaneros, some ghost pepper sauce, Carolina Reaper seasoning, stuff like that. But yeah, I usually just eat them fork and knife. I've made lettuce wraps before, though. Those aren't too bad. I've learned how to make a lot of foods. It's always cool when you have people come over and you're like, hey, I'm going to make you all some food. Make some food for your special someone. That's always a nice experience. Maybe even make some food together. A lot of fun. No, I've never had a taco burger, I don't think. Um, Bob's Burgers, is that based on the show? I know in New Mexico they had Los Pollos Hermanos at one point. Oh yeah, I've seen all the Harry Potter movies too. I've read all the books. I reread them again this past year. I even have some of the spin-off books like right I hate this camera sometimes. Right here next to the first Game of Thrones book is Tales of Beetle the Bard from Deathly Hallows. So yeah, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. Definitely one of the inspirations on my own franchise. That, Lord of the Rings, Narnia, a lot of inspirations. Have I seen Spaceballs? Yes. My favorite scene is either when they're combing the desert with actual combs, or probably the scene where they take the VHS of the movie and they put in the VHS player, the VCR, and they actually pause and they're like, "What the hell am I looking at?" It's like this is as much as they filmed up until right now. Favorite Blade movie, Blade 2. Um, I like the first one. Blade 2 for me is way better though, because like everything that Del Toro does in terms of expanding the lore and the world and everything like that. So I'm big Blade 2 fan. It's basically like his Strain trilogy, which is his books on vampires, kind of like technological, makes it more like a virus. He also had a TV show um, about that, I think on FX, that came out years ago. And I didn't see any of it, but when I met Del Toro about 10, 11 or so years ago, I was talking to him about Strain, and he gave me some of those books and I read them and stuff. So yeah, that's probably why a big part of why 2 is my favorite, is because it's a lot like that in terms of the concepts and the world building and stuff. It always looks like it's daytime in your streams. It's not bad though. Really? Oh, well, yeah, in my videos, I usually try and record natural lighting, but right now I have what is it? I just have like my lights on in my office, like my overhead lights. I don't think that they're really the best though, because like you can see my posters and stuff get washed out. I'm like a big technical person when it comes to lighting and cinematography, all that stuff. So I want everything in my visuals to look good, but a lot of times it doesn't. I can even tell that I'm not using the correct light bulbs because you can kind of see almost like a refresh rate when you look at my videos. And yeah, that doesn't cut it for me. Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up watching Harry Potter and reading the books when they came out every year. So, a lot of people my age did that. Have I ever had a spork? Used a spork, yeah. They used to give them to me when I went in the cafeteria and stuff. Did I watch the Terminator show that takes place after Judgment Day? Do you mean the Sarah Connor Chronicles? I watched a small amount, but I just wasn't feeling it, to be honest, so I didn't keep going. Yes, I already said I saw Spaceballs before Big Cheese. Yes, I've seen the movie Porky's. Definitely one of those interesting movies they would never be able to make today. Pollos Hermanos is actually a Twister's, which is a local chain, pretty mid. Oh, that's disappointing. I thought maybe it was like a separate pop-up restaurant that they tried to make kind of like a Chick-fil-A or something, to match the type of food we see in the movie. I mean, it just, or the show, it just kind of seems like a generic chicken restaurant in the show anyway, so it wouldn't be too hard, but hmm. Yes, it is very offensive to ask how old I am. How dare you? I am old enough, but young enough to still get carded. I've probably mentioned how old I am and stuff before, but I prefer the mystery. There's a lot of things I like to keep a mystery just for fun and for my own entertainment. Well, I'm definitely not 43, I could tell you that. If I look that old, well, it's probably the beard. If I shave this beard off, I'd look a lot younger, but that's most men, I feel like. I'm definitely not a ginger, I could tell you that right now. Honestly, like the Harry Potter books are better, especially for number 4 and 6. Like the book is so much better for those. Like number 4 was like my favorite book at the time I saw the movie, and I hated the movie because they ruined it. When is the fandom going to hold these people accountable? I'm not quite sure what you're talking about. Which people? Honestly, I'll tell you right now. I mean, if somebody gives me like a huge super chat, I would shave my beard. Um, no, I'm not gonna do that. But I don't really. I prefer the beard. I'm gonna like trim it, maybe even tonight or tomorrow. But nah, I prefer having a beard. I think it looks better, more dignified, especially with the mustache. We get the mustache cam up in here. But yeah, I'll trim like all this. I don't want to look too manly for all you. I don't want to scare you all away with my alpha male aura. I was going to answer something accountable. Oh yeah. So I was going to say, before I wrap it up, I did go on Twitter earlier after some of these announcements started coming out, in which, yeah, I saw, I think it was the DB Hype or whatever that channel and stuff is called, make a video about this on Twitter, I think. And then like Geekdom, of course, made his stream and stuff. So I saw a lot of that happening, and then people just got into a battle about it on Twitter, and it really encapsulates why I originally quit Twitter and like left it, because there's so many people that are on there and they're just like wasting their time. Like in life, you have so much time that's afforded to you, right? Like you have so much energy you can give in a day to anything. So why are you going to spend hours of your time arguing with people you don't know on Twitter about inconsequential things? Or even if they are about consequential things, has anyone ever really changed their opinion on politics or any of these things because somebody argued with them on Twitter, insulted them? I find hard to believe. And so I just feel like so many people waste so much of their time on Twitter and a lot of these social media platforms. And most of the time too, they just put their foot in their mouth. Like they go on there and they just think that everything they have to say is so important that like they just can't stop themselves from tweeting a million times a day and getting into arguments with people who have slightly different opinions, or, just being like, oh, why did you say this? Or why did you leak this? Or why did you talk about this? It's like, why do you care? Why don't you go make a video? Why don't you go do something productive with your life? And people were like yelling and complaining and stuff earlier on Twitter. Well, I would assume so. I think they were using caps lock. And so, because, oh, this guy talked about Dragon Ball Magic, and maybe some of the things are not correct. Maybe they are correct, and maybe you shouldn't have said that and you should just let them release it on their own time. It's like, maybe you should just mind your own business and make videos. Maybe you should do something productive to improve your life and move forward. Maybe all these people that are arguing on Twitter should stop it and, live their lives and enjoy them, because they could be over tomorrow. And you're wasting so much time getting into fights with people in tweets and these little very short things that you can write, which are never going to allow you to compose like a real thought out argument unless you make a million tweets and then people are interrupting each other before their threads of tweets are done. It's just a really unnecessary place to be. So yeah, I have a Twitter that I made recently because I want to use it to promote like my books and stuff when they come out, and communicate with fans and friends and stuff. But every day I go back and I think about deleting it again, because every time I go on there, it just reminds me this is why I deleted this thing, and why so many people I see that I'm fans of their work and I've talked to and I'm even friends with, I just look at their tweets and I look at these strings of arguments they get in, just how emotional they're getting and just how much they're just wasting their lives away on this shit. And it's kind of unfortunate side effect of our current reality and culture. And so that's why I'm not using mine. I just said, hey, I'm welcome to Twitter, and I just never tweet again. And I don't know if I ever will. Maybe I'll just delete my Twitter again, aside from talking to people on there. I don't see the point. But hey, that's my opinion. And I think that, instead of attacking people who leak something, and instead of going after them and trying to make a bigger name for yourself and getting clout, maybe you should just focus on your own life and doing things better. Because at the end of the day, what's more important? Living a happy, fulfilling life where you achieve your goals, or getting clout and acting like what you have to say is more important than what this other person does? Or, you shouldn't have said this one thing before this other person did. What a waste of time and effort. But yeah, that's my thoughts on all these controversies going on right now, and Twitter in general, mostly really social media in general. If I didn't do YouTube and stuff like this, I wouldn't even have social media, because it's really not good for you, to be honest. Like, you could just tell, like, if every time you go on social media you get angry, is that good for you? If you devote so much of your energy to arguing with people on the internet, is that good for you? If you could take that energy and like better your life, wouldn't that be better for you? That's just what I think, But at the end of the day, everyone's free to live the lives that they want. That's the kind of voluntary nature of our existence, free will and all. So if you want to waste, or, in my opinion, waste, but if you want to spend hours of your time talking to people and arguing with them on Twitter and other platforms over things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, be my guest. You're the one who gets to decide what you do with your time. Maybe you just have fun doing it. Maybe instead of watching a movie, you'd rather argue for an hour and a half. Hey, everybody's different. But yeah, with that being said, guys, just check over the chat one more time and I'm going to wrap it up here. So let's see. Would I rather be Kryptonian or Saiyan? I mean, am I going to be a weak Kryptonian or Saiyan? I mean, I'd rather just be a human. I might not need to have special powers, right? But why turn into like a totally different species just so I can get powers, I guess? What if I don't have a soul anymore? I don't have a dog, so you wouldn't be able to train it. Twitter ain't worth it? I agree. What's the return on investment for Twitter, really, when you think about it? What did having a Twitter ever benefit me? I can't think of a single time it did for the years I had. I created Twitter right when the platform came out. I was on it up until 2 or 3 years ago. And then I was like, this is a waste of my time. I don't enjoy it. Every time I look at Twitter, it makes me have less of an enjoyable day. Why not cut out the things you don't like in your life and focus on the things you do? Min-max it up. Yeah, it's like Dave Chappelle said, Twitter isn't a real place. And I've considered making a Discord in the future. So, I'll figure it out. I've thought of doing memberships, Discord, all that stuff, but one step at a time. This is all work in progress, kind of like life. We're all works in progress at the end of the day. Some of us are a little bit further along in that work. I know I've improved a lot in the past few years, that's for sure, especially the past 1 year. I've gained a lot of knowledge and a little bit too much weight. I'm going back though. I'm getting even better shape than ever. It's gonna be great. Now you guys could start calling me Thin Mike. All right, guys, this has been the in-depth discussion about everything regarding Dragon Ball Magic, that new series that's going to be coming out in the near future, potentially. I guess we'll have to wait and see that Comic-Con announcement. Maybe they're actually going to announce Dragon Ball normal, and there won't be any magic at all, and it'll just be Goku and Beerus instead of Shin sitting around in rocking chairs and just going, remember when we had fights? And then it'll just be clip shows every single episode. It'll all be flashbacks to fights throughout the franchise. And that would be the whole show. And then Toei will just put the troll face at the end of every episode and play the troll music. And it'll be great. It'll be great. Better than Dragon Ball Super. But all right, guys, make sure to let me know your own thoughts down below in the comments. Thanks for watching, and make